illegal in prison.
Oh, wow.
Like if you
Okay, it's
like they
taking
was
us
doing a
5 years.
comparison between the prison food and the school lunch food, and I mean both of them should not be poisoned, but the results is
We are live now.
yay, yay. Let me see those straight.
Finally figured it out.
Do my best posture.
Let me see. Let's get it all set up here. And we can get started. So it should be live on your page and on mine.
Okay.
Let me- Okay. We are live. Sorry, we're late. Very. Well, late for some, but right on time for others. Hell,
We right in time. I'm not
in
even gonna.
time. Let's see. All right. All righty then. Let's send the link out. Let's share and get some folks to know that we are on. And then we'll get started. You see the link on your end? If not, let me send it to you right quick. That's our live link right now. Welcome to Breaking the Chains, Repatriation Journeys. If you all were here a couple of days ago, we Cicely and I started a conversation about how we will how we need to take care of our children and ourselves in this tumultuous situation we have here. If you are here, please like and share. Share. Go to Cicely's page. If you need to be on Facebook, you can go to her page. If you're on YouTube, share, because this is something we need to get out to the people. If you get to see this during the replay, share. So Cicely, Monday we were talking about our children and the mental health of our children and what we are dealing with. You recently got back from Ghana for a little bit, and you have encountered something that has been quite alarming, and that is the mental health issues of so many of our children. Can you speak on what is it that you've been coming across and what concerns you have been having and why we are here?
Well, this is a conversation me and you started even when I was in Ghana, because sometimes when you step outside of your usual environment, it can really enhance your perspective. I don't think it takes away from it in any way. Just maybe you just looking at things from a different vantage. And I just really recognize that we are dealing with a lot of mental challenges. And I notice it more I noticed it more um, as people were coming over to visit Ghana. And
Yeah.
so if you look back in some of the older interviews and some of the older chats that we had, you could see that we are constantly bringing up the fact that we're not really looking at ourselves. We don't even see how we're behaving. And then when we take it out of the usual context and you look at it from a different lens, then you see that a lot of the things that we're doing is really ridiculous, for lack of a better word. I mean,
Yeah.
um, but so now to bring it forward, I was called back to the U.S. because my daughter, who was a university student during the middle of COVID, was just, in her words, spiraling out. I don't know if that's a medical term, but um, I, you know, my whole family, my friends, everybody, we did everything to just show up, for her, listen to her, and really just nurture her the best we could through her process. And in
Right.
doing that, I I suggested that she come back to Ghana with me.
Hmm.
Um, and I did that. I made that suggestion based on the fact that I too felt like I was spiraling out when I was living in the US. And if I didn't have anywhere else to go, and if I had never traveled anywhere, I wouldn't have anything to compare it to. But I
Right.
noticed that for me, certain things, anxiety, and actually, we worked with one of the PhD uh, fellows out of somewhere in Florida. Um,
Miami, University of Miami.
yeah, because he interviewed us about, he's doing some research about the health effects of repatriation. And
Yep.
so I'm like, let me go on the record and say I had a standing anxiety medication prescription before I left this country,
Yep.
um, which I don't need at all when I'm in
Not
Ghana.
here.
My I was also taking high blood pressure medication, which I was, well, quite naturally I would prefer to take natural, medicines. So I was under the care of a Chinese doctor here in Chicago for high
Hmm.
blood pressure before I left. Now on my way back recently, I had my vitals done. My blood sugar was in the normal range. My blood pressure is also normal. And that's what it generally, even at my weight, it stays in the normal range
Right.
when in Ghana. And so, based on my experience in dealing with my own mental challenges, I thought, yeah, no, let me bring my baby back to Ghana with me. Now, fast forward, we've engaged a series of therapies, not just one. I mean, sometimes, artists will say we're all artists, but really all of our movement and everything that we engage in life is an opportunity to be therapeutic. It's
Right.
all how you take it. So whether that be nature therapy, art therapy, movement therapy, yoga, meditation, talk therapy, these are just some of the things that we did. We also did nutritional therapy.
Yep.
So as a result, we're all seeing a lot of improvements, um, with our moods, stability, um, just, as for me, honestly, the same effect that I had from taking the Ativan here in Chicago is the same effect that I have on my mood when I'm not in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it literally is a feeling of, not everything is not perfect. Everything is not, I don't have all the money I need all
Right.
the time at every given junction. I don't have all the best health that I want at every time at all the given junctions, but I still don't feel that angst, and that heart racing. And I had so I thought about it, you know, because as I've come back, I came back and I've been making my rounds, visiting my family and friends. I have been out of the country for a while. And when I did come back, the last time I was here was during the middle of COVID. So I didn't get to really see anybody. And it's been very emotional. And I'm noticing a lot of people in my daughter's and my children's age range are going through some very dangerous mental health situations.
Yeah.
Um, some of which, you know, don't have happy endings, you know,
Right.
and some that we're working right now to try to see if we can do anything to make it go in a more let's just say lively direction.
Right.
Um, so it's becoming very serious, you know, to me, um, to really just talk about my experience, talk about my background, and just try to offer some resources, um, just in case anybody was wondering what's wrong with their kid, and is there anything that I could do to help them? Because as a parent, that's the way my mind works.
Right.
And so in doing that, it has put me in a lot of different situations. I've had a chance to study under a lot of people, Dr. Africa, uh, Dr. Akua Gray. Um, I had a chance to work with Queen Afua. I had a chance to work with, well, he's a psychologist, but Dr. Umar. I had a chance to work with, oh, I don't know, a lot of people, throughout the years. And, so I have quite a bit of uh, resources and information that I just don't think people are getting out. The
Yeah.
basics of which is what is happening with our children, like what is really happening with our children.
Yeah.
And I think we all innately suspect that we're facing some environmental challenges. But I want to put a little bit of structure um, to that concern. Yes,
Right.
we're facing some very serious environmental challenges. And I'm not just talking about electromagnetic frequencies, I'm talking about the actual two problems with the food here in America. One is that they're nutritionally uh, challenged. I don't know, let's just let her come on in and because if I was at home, Papaya would have been in this video already.
Girl, a hot mess.
Then when I asked him to come on, he acts shy. But anyway, but yeah. So what was we talking about? The food is
The
is
food.
is challenging us on two levels. One is nutritionally, I'm not gonna say void, but it's not that much going on with the food as much as we might
Mm-hmm.
like to think. I don't care how beautiful that stuff look in the grocery store, more than likely is nutritionally deficient in many ways. Number two,
Absolutely.
on top of it being nutritionally deficient, is biologically deficient in that it's been treated chemically, and the biology that contributes to the bioavailability of the nutrients in food is not available in our bodies. So yes,
Right.
we're getting calories. We may be even be getting a little bit of fiber, but it's nowhere near enough of where we need in order to support a healthy body or a healthy mind. And like my doctor told me one day about my daughter, Mom, he gave me the slow version. Mom, a child that does not feel good is not going to behave well. And
Right.
America, I'm here to tell you, more than 60% of the children in this country are chronic illness suffering children. Now,
Yeah.
you ask yourself, if you are a youth that's suffering with a chronic illness, how do you think they're going to behave?
I mean, we see it every day. We see how they
Right.
behave.
But we are still pretending somehow like we're not seeing what we're seeing. And so, what I wanted to do is kind of reassure people that I know it seems like because you're getting all this information, eat this, don't eat that, do this, don't do that, say this, don't say that. And it becomes very confusing and overwhelming for people who maybe not used to being responsible for their food and their nutrition in the way that we need to be in 2023.
Right.
So I wanted to say, like, what could we put out there, that people could grab a hold to that might actually help them, make better decisions for how they're supporting the health of their children. What
Right.
can, you know, because most of the things that I'm seeing is people just literally take their kids to a psychiatrist and put them on all kinds of drugs. And again, it being 2023, my question is, how is that working?
It ain't working. It's got them. I feel like it's making them worse. It's
You
making them
feel like it is? You
addicted.
know it
Like
is.
they're literally giving our kids the same drugs that they lock our men up for, or that they lock us up for. So you giving children, in essence, crack or cocaine, and you're giving them prescription illicit drugs, and we're expecting that they should be able to behave in that way. No, they're becoming zombie like, and there are definitely ways to deal with those problems without turning our children into zombies.
Yeah,
But
well,
how
the
do you?
problem is they was already zombies before they began the medicine. And that's the part that we're in denial about. They, they wasn't in their right mind to begin with. And
Hmm,
quite frankly, none of us really are here. Um,
ooh,
and I mean, that's the first thing we have to do is admit it.
yeah,
Know? That's the first thing. You just can't sit here and pretend like this is not happening. And then when walk in on your child laying on the floor unconscious, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Well, let's talk about it. Hopefully, and prevent the next parent from just sitting around while their kid is self harming and
right,
feel like they can't do anything. The first thing that I would suggest that we do is admit that we have these challenges.
yeah,
Um, and I actually had this conversation with my mom very long time ago when the autism rates in America first started exploding. And her position at the time was that, well, I just think that it's always been like that, that if there's not a growth of autism, that people were just more, they're diagnosing it more, they're having more tools, and they're recognizing behaviors more than they did back in, when she was a child. And
hmm,
I thought about that. I mean, obviously there's something to that as well. However, now fast forward 20 years, what about the rest?
right,
What about the
right.
obesity that we're dealing with? What about the behavioral challenges? What about the suicide rates?
Oh
What
man,
about
yes,
you know what I'm saying? What about the chronic illnesses like diabetes and asthma? Like we took asthma like it was normal during the 70s when everybody basically
in the
started getting it in
80s.
the city.
It's
We
like,
took it, like it was normal. But okay, when that became diabetes, and then when it came, now we got young people having heart attacks, and we got, it's like, okay, at what point do you see the weirdness um growing exponentially? So we come back to that conversation, and I would say that um no parent is paranoid if they really feel like they're having some environmental challenges that are outside of something that they're doing in their house. But then the question becomes, what can we do about it? You
What
know,
can
and how do we protect ourselves? And is it possible for our children to really still um, be rescued? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And I'm gonna say yes. Could I say anything else as a mom with 3 kids? And I'll
right.
tell you some of the things that I've done, and I want to share a few of the practitioners and some of the different resources. We already mentioned 2 movies. Then we got a couple of books we want to throw in there. Um, I don't know how we're gonna do the practitioners. Maybe in the comment section, I'll put like names and uh
Mm-hmm.
sales and phone numbers or something like that.
Yeah,
But
we can do that.
yeah, it's a few simple things that I think we can all start doing. But if you have a complicated situation, or you already know you're in the danger zone with your child and you need extra help, we'll put share some of that information as well. And I was hoping other parents were going to be coming in, with questions or whatever. And I
Hmm.
realize this is a sensitive topic. A lot of people want to act like this is not happening, but I'm not. Because like 3 13-year-olds just got arrested down the street from my house for stealing
Mm.
people's cars, and they didn't crash somebody and hit somebody and kill them. So I'm not going to pretend with anybody that our children are not out of control.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pretend that when I go out in the morning, I don't see them eating hot flamings, Doritos, and drinking a juice that's the color of uh, indigo, blue juice, and red juice. I'm not going to
yeah,
pretend. So, with that said, for the parents that are really, really interested in helping themselves, I would say start as early as possible. Do not wait till your child is 17 before you start looking at their, just looking at what y'all doing, measuring
yeah,
their when they go to their physicals. Well, I need to know their vitamin D levels. I need to know their vitamin B levels. I need a full, panel profile. I want to know what's getting in and what's not getting in, so that I, as a parent, would know what to feed my child and how to help my
exactly.
child. So that's number one. If you have access or any type of health insurance or whatever, you need to get some information. That's number one. Um, the second thing is make some friends with the nearest farm community. They have all these different ways to get, because actually it was on a panel for the Chicago Park District before, sharing how families can eat organic on a budget.
Uh-huh.
Since we have a family of 5 and people knew that we was doing it, it's like, how do y'all manage that? And some of the tactics that I use are, I well, obviously you're not gonna go as far as me, but I work with farmers. I actually go to the farm. I done been picking food on the farm and everything. You don't have to
Yeah.
go that far. You can hit a farmer's market though.
Yep.
They
That's
even
what
have
I
an
do.
online farmers market, which I don't. They didn't pay me none, but it's called Market Wagon. Then there's also local farmers that are completely independent. They have websites, and some of them have they grow food for people. It might be a small farm, and they have everything planned out, the cost and everything, and they know, well, I'm growing food for 100 families, and if you work with that farm, then they're sending you produce every week. And then, like, when it's nice, you could go and visit the place, check it out, take
Mm-hmm.
your kids. You know, that's another contact with nature, stepping outside of your usual environment. Don't think of it as something else to do. Look at it as an opportunity, to have a positive time, a good time, and a positive impact on your children's learning and also getting close to the source of your food. So the CSAs, the community sustainable agriculture, the
Uh-huh.
online markets, the farmers markets, local farmers, and by local, again, it's 2023. You know that can be. It doesn't have to be within a 3 mile radius. You could go a little bit further outside of that, especially if you're in a northern area where quite naturally, you're gonna have to get some lettuce or something from somewhere a little bit further away. But
Right.
the whole point of it is that use the resources that's available, and they are available. As far as anything else like that I would recommend, like your vitamin D3, B complex, probiotics, and all that stuff, you can go to your local health food store, tell them what you're looking for. They will help you. You can go on Amazon, read all the reviews you want, you know, and I generally don't fool with any type of vitamins or supplements that I don't look for reviews about.
Right.
And I think I shared a vitamin D story with you the last time.
You did.
Um, and
But
um,
share it again for those who didn't tune into that live. Share that vitamin D story. I thought that was really interesting.
yeah, well, let's just say that we had a vitamin D deficit in our entire household. And
Mm,
we didn't know. We did who knows? You wake up one day like, man, I got a vitamin D deficit. No, that's not what happened. We actually went to the doctor. Actually, it was a naturopath, which is a doctor that's kind of specializes in body movement and manipulation. Um, I would love to say his name, but is he gonna be mad at me? Uh, do I have to say give permission to talk about my doctors? Is that
do
illegal?
you? I don't know.
No, I don't. I'm gonna tell you. We went to see Dr. Nellums, old school naturopath, who had been in practice for probably 4 decades by the time I met him.
Mm-hmm.
Him being experienced, it just, and me having an appointment with him, he was like, well, what about your kids? How they doing? Why don't you bring them in? And so I said, okay, one by one, I'll bring them. I got my daughter in first. He said, Mom, I'm going to show you what to look for. I can tell you right now that she's suffering. And I had no idea that my daughter had been going through this. She had been she had asthma, but she hadn't expressed any issues or problems with it. Turns out she had been having back pain due to the asthma and the condition of her lungs. So
Wow.
he worked with my daughter, he worked with me, and in the process of doing that, I took her to a green doctor, an MD that also recognizes the viability of natural medicines.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a vitamin panel for her there. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
the vitamin D, I'm telling you, you can have a vitamin D level of 100, 200, and they'll tell you what vitamin D toxicity is really very little evidence of that actually happening to a person. However, my daughter's vitamin D was down near in single digits.
Mm.
So we went and got the supplement. It was vitamin D3. And we had been familiar with D3 because normally around November, October, we're in Chicago, I would start giving everybody D3 drops,
Right.
but it was nowhere near enough for what we were dealing with. And I had no idea. So when she started the regimen, the D3 regimen, she expressed to me that her colors she could see colors.
Writer.
I did not know she had not been seeing colors like that. Then
Wow.
we go outside and she's like, oh, the sun actually came out. And I'm like, the sun been coming out every day. She like, no, I could not feel it. I couldn't see it. So
Wow.
her moods and everything have been very, very much so impacted by a vitamin D deficiency. And it was remarkable how quick, um, that she was able. And me and my other kids was like, man, the old Noe is back. She's singing and dancing and jumping around. And I was like, oh my God. So you just gotta look. You gotta look. I guarantee you that if your kid is having mood problems and behavior problems, you can do something with their diet and maybe some supplements to help them improve it. It may
You
not
know,
cure it all, but it can help them.
yeah, I think a lot of us suffer from vitamin D deficiency and we don't know.
Well,
And because I remember when I had C, my mama, she was telling me, like, because I was down bad for a minute. And she when I got the, like, at one point I was having to take breathing treatments and all of that stuff. And she was like, you need to get up, take that chair outside, and go sit in the sun. Just go sit out there for about 15, 20 minutes
every
at a
day.
time,
Yeah.
and you'll start to feel better. She's like,
Mhm.
you need to get some sun. And sis, when I tell you, I would go out, when I would get up, I would muster up the energy because I was feeling so bad. I would muster up the energy to drag a chair outside and just go sit in the yard, in the middle of the yard. And this was August, so the sun was out for
Yeah.
real. And man, I would sit out there. After about 10 minutes, I could get up and walk to the front yard and walk back. And I was doing like some breathing exercises and stuff, and I would walk barefoot and really just trying to get as much in as I can. And within about 20 minutes of being outside every day, I would start feeling better. So I started kind of extending it, like, okay, I did 15 minutes, then I do 20 minutes, then I do 30 minutes, because I realized how much better I was feeling by just getting that vitamin D. So I can only imagine, like, we haven't really seen the sun for weeks. And during this time of year, we don't get much sun anyway. And people already be suffering with seasonal depression because we be lacking sun. We already deal with the fact that people be, unaliving themselves during this time anyway because of the seasonal depression. So I can only imagine and that was years before we started having the food issues, before we had started having so many food issues, before we started having the digital addiction issues. People were already suffering from seasonal issues, and now to have people all of this other stuff on top of it, I'm sure is why we all sick. Like, so many of us, we don't, like, my husband, when he comes from Ghana, especially during this time of year, he's always like, I don't feel good. Like, the whole time he's here, he's just like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Every day, I don't feel good. And I'm like, you wasn't feeling like this when you was at home. And he's like, I don't know, something's wrong. I'm sick. I'm like, you sick? And he's like, I'm sick. And I'm like, it's this weather, it's this environment, it's this food, it's this, the whole, and
Yeah.
and for me, I have the same issues, but and I have a friend who just got back from Ghana. She spent 4 months in Ghana, and she's really, really suffering um I mean, suffering. Her health is suffering just by coming back. So, what can we do when we're here? Because, it's times we have to come. So, what do we do for those of us who come back and we feel it for real, like we feel it bad? Um, what have you been able to do to keep yourself from, or have you been able to keep yourself from falling into that space and getting
Well, I
back
think,
unhealthy?
yeah, when I come, it's usually I'm like focused on producing something or just focused on what I'm doing on my work. So I haven't really fell into anything like depression, um, anxiety, not so much, just the usual stuff of moving in and around Chicago, which
Mhm.
you should feel a little bit of something because it's a lot going on here. I'm not saying that, I'm super paranoid about it. I'm still in the Inglewood area or whatever. And I don't feel any kind of way about that. Like, oh my God, I can't stay there, but, you know, security precautions, do need to be observed.
Yeah,
However, I know I'm not staying here. And I think the last time I was in the US, I was here for about 6 months, and everybody could tell after about the fourth month, like just looking at my face, you ready to go, ain't you? And like, yes, yes, I am. So I've been kind of okay. The last time I came, I also um I gained a lot of weight. So this time I've been careful. I've been going to you know, I ain't gonna say working out, but I didn't been in the gym a couple of times, and I've hit the sauna, and I'm just being more careful because here, I mean, you can't just eat chicken here and feel like you're gonna be okay. You can eat
oh,
chicken, and the next thing you know, you're swelling up like a balloon,
it
and
happens to me
not doing
every
that.
time.
Yeah, so I'm real careful about what I'm doing, and I'm real focused, and I know I don't have to stay here, so that helps me a lot. Now when I used to live here, I was literally I was working with farmers, going to farmers markets. Everything I suggested is what I was doing,
Right.
and so that's kind of my thing. This is real living here. I'm not, although I do read books, I recommend you read. I had two books, in fact, one called Irreversible Damage. It's controversial, but it's some questions that we do deserve to look at some answers about, and I believe the book does get into some of that. Also, Dr. Michelle Perrow's book, "What's Making Our Children Sick." I recommend you check that out. Actually, um, I'm just starting that book myself, but I have
Mhm.
followed Dr. Perrow and her work online, and I recommend you do that too. Won't help you. She's a pediatrician. I mean, it won't hurt you. She's a pediatrician, and she's up on the game. But anyway, I'm not recommending anything that I haven't had to deal with in some capacity, you know. Um, so the naturopath thing is even a good recommendation. And I
Yeah.
think if you want a good naturopath in the Chicago area or somewhere else, just kind of email me or message me, contact me, and let me know. I really don't want to put Dr. Nellums on the spot because he's retired.
Hmm.
And although I think his son is in practice, I don't know if he's taking new patients. So I have to kind of check because the need is so great. And then I have another naturopath that I saw, uh, Kiera in Chicago. So
Hmm.
if you want to contact for that, I definitely will share it. And if you're in another city, I may have a contact for you there too. I know I was in Atlanta recently and I didn't find a good naturopath referral. When I was down there, I was very disappointed. So if that's not what's happening in Atlanta, That explains a lot. The kids need they need our help. They need to be
Well,
paid to, um, and they have to. With children, one thing I've noticed about the African experience, and especially being married into a Ghanaian family, when their grandmother would bathe them, they pulling everything loose on the child.
yeah,
They're realigning them, and making sure everything is flexible and fluid, and they rubbing and massaging every day.
yep,
We honestly don't pay we think we're paying attention to our kids when we buy them expensive things, but they actually need to be touched. They need to be,
yeah,
stretched. They need to be pulled. You need to be familiar with, massaging your children, especially young children, and just making sure,
making sure they're
everything is
loose
okay.
so
Um,
it can flow.
yeah. They also bathe. They don't feel shy to bathe them in herbs. They do not feel shy to give their children enema. And so these are some of the tactics that I've been able to pick up in my association with continental Africans, and I use all of them. I
Yeah,
use all of them. And another about with kids, it's hard to get them sometimes. Certain medicines are very bitter. Bitterness is something you have to train your children to like. You have to
yeah,
train yourself to like it. And you do that by tasting it and
taking it. Yeah,
continually taking it. But maybe there are some plants that they don't want to take. Guess what's the other way they could get them?
and they bud.
That's right. So it's a way to do everything. Fight for your kids. Don't sit
Yeah,
here like I had a parent who I love from the bottom of my heart. But when I was talking about some of the things that I did to address my children dealing with autoimmune disorders like eczema, asthma too a little bit. Um, she was like, I'm not about to do all that. And I'm like, you're saying that now because your child is 2 or 3 years old. But what you don't realize is that one thing leads to another. And if you don't address it, pretty soon that same child gonna be disrupting her classroom. They've been calling you all day while you trying to work and make money.
yep.
Then your child not even gonna be able to sleep at some point. Then you not gonna be able to get yourself together to do what you gotta do. And at that point, then you will call me again. And I'll
Oh,
say,
yep.
let's readdress the stuff I told you before. Because this is what we dealing with. It's no escape from. You really just gotta pay attention to your kids. Are they sleeping? Are they pooping? You know, how
Are
you
they
say
pooping?
I can tell you right now they're not pooping. Neither are we half the time. You know, okay,
Exactly.
that has to be addressed with additional fiber, maybe a little tea. I don't know. It depends on the condition and the severity of the situation. But by any means, they should be pooping every day.
Every day. More
And
than
if
one
you
time a day.
And if you using as the kids tease me about, how do you use all this toilet tissue? If you're using a lot of toilet tissue, your poop ain't right. Okay, let me just say that.
Yeah.
So the more jacked up it is, the more tissue you need. Okay, so you gotta just pay attention to your kid. And if the look, my dad used to ask us when we come. Oh, can I say this? Dad, don't get mad at me. We come home from school. Did you shit? We'd be like, at school, we seem like the type of people that want to poop at school. So he like, I don't care where you are. If you gotta go, you gotta go. Don't
Yeah.
hold it. You know, and it's like of all the questions to ask your kids after school, this is what he asked us, but it's important. So, uh, you know, hey, look, ain't gonna be no substitute for hard work, and putting time in with your kids. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When my daughter was down, thank God we have created a lifestyle that allowed me to be there for her.
Yeah.
I literally had to go back into uh almost like a baby place with my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
because she had gotten so ill, she could not sleep, she couldn't poop, she couldn't it was a very serious situation.
Yeah.
And I had to put in some time. I had to
Yeah.
put in some time. I had to talk to her about not only do you have to deal with the drugs that the doctor is giving you, but you got to deal with the drugs you brought on yourself. And so
Exactly.
a lot of our young people are dealing with you know, they got pills and they got prescription meds, and then they got other types of pills, and then they got the other psychedelics, and then they got, you know, it's layers of stuff. And one thing that I did do that was very interesting, I didn't do it on purpose, but I was watching a documentary called Music. Let me just make sure I know the name of it, because this was very interesting how it happened. Music as I had been talking to my daughter about psychedelics, and you know how, as for me, I'm not opposed to psychedelics, but I don't play with them. Okay, they're not for a game. They're for
Right.
they have their purpose. They can be medicinal for rituals and different things, but you need to know what you're doing, and it's nothing to play with.
Right.
So I've been saying that, right? But I happen to be watching this documentary called "Drugs as a Weapon," drugs as weapons against us. The CIA war on musicians and activists.
Hmm.
This documentary, my daughter watched it over
Hmm.
my shoulder. And from that moment, she understood what I had been telling her about the psychedelics, because the LSD and the acid, all of that was developed by the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
whole hippie culture was a figment of the CIA imagination. And so
Wow.
for her, that was something that made her rethink her approach to the use of these substances.
It's good.
For her. So I don't know what it's gonna take, but you gotta, you know, really figure out your kid, you know,
Yeah.
and that takes time, and you have to actually look at them. You gotta listen to them, and I know it ain't easy, because sometimes my daughter get to going into her thing, and I'll be like, stop.
For real, it'd be a lot. It's like,
Did I want to know all of that? You know, so but you know, using the documentaries, the books that I leave around, you know what? My kids pick those up.
yep.
You know, when I'm listening to a lecture, they're listening over my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that I would recommend for parents, and I know people don't want to hear this, but I'm just go ahead and put it out there. If you are isolated as a mom with children, and there's no men around, that's something to address. That's not something to ignore. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying you got to run out and marry the first person that knock on your, you know, your door. What I'm saying is, it's a decent organization with decent men. If it's you know, the YMCA and some type of structured
Boys and
program,
girls club, something.
I mean, you got to open your mind to the idea that you need balance, and you need support, and you need another perspective, and your children do too.
Absolutely.
I used to I worked with the All African People's Revolutionary Party for quite a few years, and we had something every other week called work study. And you know, by me having young children, my thing was always like, I love working and organizing, you know, on behalf of the people, but I do have children. So our
Right.
activities have to either include them, or what's the benefit for my kids, basically.
Right.
So they have a part of their organization called a Young Pioneers Institute. That's something that Dr. Nkrumah actually started that.
Oh,
And
okay.
so under that guise, we started having, they would have their work study programming, and we would have ours
Mm-hmm.
simultaneously. My
Okay.
my children did martial arts training, boxing. gardening, dissecting sharks. They did some of everything while I was working with the people in my age range. They was doing their thing with the people in their age range. That put them in contact with scientists, performers, uh, martial artists. It put them in contact with a lot of people that was in a very positive way. And
Right.
to this day, my children ask me about when are we going back to work study.
Wow. Wow.
So this is the health and the welfare of our children is a lifestyle. It's not just for them, it's for us too. And so, a lot of times people are like, well, you doing all of this, and I'm like, well, I really don't. If it's good for me, it's good for my kids,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So, I encountered a young lady who visited Ghana with her daughter, and she's been single, for her entire life. And the daughter was just like, man, they had a man who was helping them move around, driving them and everything, just assisting them in their travels in Ghana. And the woman said one day her daughter was like, it sure feels nice to have a man around. And she said she was devastated because she thought she was doing the right thing by staying away from any men, when all the while it was
Wow.
that could have, would have, and something that actually ended up making her daughter feel a lot more comfortable. And let's don't sleep on the option of bringing your children to Ghana, or I would say Tanzania or South Africa, or
Senegal,
anywhere else in
Gambia.
Africa. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's don't sleep on that because it can refresh their spirit. If that's within your purview and something you can visualize. Now you don't have to do that, but I'm putting it out there because it works. People, we
Yeah.
do it
It
all the
helps a
time.
lot.
People have brought their children over for a 3-week visit and completely refresh their spirit and give them a fighting chance. Give them a chance. So if you have that opportunity, definitely traveling anywhere it's good, but coming home to the land is like
It
super.
is. It's such a good for one experience, and to be able to feel it's something we've said this before, you can't even explain it.
Nah,
Um and we've said before also, everybody ain't meant to move to the land. But I do believe that everybody needs to make it their business at some point in life to make that trip. And if you can't make that trip, find a program or something. There are programs out here. I know a few brothers who have programs where they're taking children to Ghana, to Kenya, to different places for and they raise the money and it's not on the parents. It's usually it's a single parent household or something like that. So they really can't afford what it would take to send them. So the organizations raise the money and take these children. There are other options. Like, I feel like even though it seems like there aren't as many programs as there were when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I went to a program in Fort Lauderdale called the Ashanti Cultural Arts place. I took karate there. We did dance, like God rest her soul, Miss Linda, who is the founder, Miss Linda Jones, she just passed away. And my friend and classmate Jamila, her daughter is now over the program, and she's still doing a whole lot of stuff in the community, and I've always known them to be in the community. And I know that there are other programs out there. I think people have to search them out, you know. When I was at the Battle of the Bands with my family the other week, I saw several groups of men who were mentoring boys. They all had on their t-shirts for their mentoring programs. So there are programs out there. There are people doing the work. Of course, that stuff doesn't get highlighted because it's positive and it's good for our community, and it's stuff that we need. So it doesn't get highlighted in the way that it needs to be, but it's out there if you search for it, if you ask for it, if you open your mouth, you can find what it is that you need. And I know for me, like my mom, although I had males in my life, my mom always made sure that I had as many positive males around as possible. It was important. And I know with all of the stuff, and we have to be careful about, if we look at how it looks to me like agendas are being pushed to have us battling with each other, battling. We have to be careful to understand that this has been a covert operation since we got here. And every time it looked like we getting closer, they find a way to push in and spread us in and divide us back again. So we have to be careful about falling into those traps of division, especially when it comes to the Black man and the Black woman, because it ends up, of course, affecting the Black children.
Man,
And
it's terrible.
It's bad.
You know, honestly, we not really being truthful with ourselves about this, because our relationships are so whack. And I know because I was there. I've been in what my family is like super blended, okay? And when I first had my first daughter, it was so difficult, challenging, and chaotic. And I remember my therapist asked me at the time, "What do you expect?" Meaning that you dealing with our community, most of whom we've never been married. We have not seen good examples of marriage. Um, it's a host of factors, you know what I'm saying, that have led to this moment. And if you look at it, it adds up to exactly what it is. But at the
You're right.
time, thank God for therapy, because I don't think I wasn't seeing it that way. And then one day my daughter told me, she was about 4 years old. And she was like, for all of this arguing, y'all could leave me with my auntie. And then both of y'all can come over and visit me over there.
Oh.
So one thing about me is I do try to listen to my children. I didn't do what she said. I adjusted myself.
Right.
I thought this has gotten ridiculous. Even the kid notices it.
Right.
We've got to rein this in. Whatever it takes for us to get this together and bring peace in place of this chaos, that's what I'm willing to do. And as soon as she made that statement, I made my commitment. And then it the
know what?
universe provided, exactly what I needed to provide that stability and that peace for my daughter. And when we get her on, she'll speak on it.
It didn't dawn on me until right now how all of this stuff that we're seeing on the internet, all of this fighting and backbiting, and Black women ain't this, and Black men ain't this, and passport bros this, passport bays this, and that, and that, and that. Is anybody thinking about how this is affecting the children?
It's scary. Trust me.
Because do we not think that they see this stuff?
And we
Do
ought to
we
be
think
ashamed,
that
but we're not.
cut off from it. Like, to if we just thinking about that part right there makes me realize the dysfunction that we're seeing in our children is coming directly from us.
Yep. We got to
And
admit
we
that
got to
part.
be real about that shit right there.
We
Like,
got to, and I'm gonna tell you something. Fast forward 20 years, when my daughter was feeling at her worst, going through all this stuff, mental health challenges, and all this mess, her dad called me for the first time ever and said, "This time I need you."
mm,
He said, "Whatever we gotta do. If you gotta come," he said, "y'all could come to my house, both of y'all. So that way me and you can work together with her. And it wasn't gonna be no cracks in the chain. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?" And do you know that's what we ended up doing? And
we got to do what we got to
my
do for
family
these
is
kids.
around, they'll tell you, I don't think um we haven't worked in a concerted effort pretty much since making my daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, but we had to put aside all the BS,
All that.
you know, and we had to. Well, I say we double teamed her, but we had to both. We both posted up. We
Yeah,
both put all that to the side, and we was just there, and it was really amazing. I actually really enjoyed my stay with his family at that time, him and all his other kids and everybody. It was amazing. It
yeah,
was really amazing, and it got me a chance to just see, how he, do his stuff with. And I could see, like, I'm looking at my daughter and her father. I'm like, he holding her like a little baby. He knows he's affectionate, everything. So all this complaining she was doing about her dad, I had to even confront, like, give me the real deal. You know what I'm saying? You try to say he putting on the front, or is this the man that you've been dealing with all this time? I said, well, she said, no, this is about how he is. I said, well, no, I'm here to tell you. I don't know what somebody then told you, but this is good enough, babe. This is
yeah,
good enough. So it really, really is not, it's not nothing I'm saying that I haven't been willing to face, did not face, or have not been through.
right.
So all the excuses from I don't have time, I don't have money, ain't no partner right here with me is nothing but excuses to me.
Yeah. So let
And
me
if
ask you
you really
this
want to help
because,
your kid, you got to get past those excuses and start dealing with the real deal. Because, like you said, it's an agenda out here and it's coming against them real hard. It came against us hard, it's coming against them harder. So,
let me ask you this because a lot of us have, we got grown kids and then we got young kids, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, like me, I have an adult that's 21, and then I got 9, 7, and 6. So for people who have adult children and they're seeing their children suffering, like you have an adult child that you've had to help to get it together, how would you suggest when you have young adults who may not be able to hear you for real right now? They done scurried along and you're seeing them suffer and you don't know what to do and you don't know how to get to them. What would you suggest?
Unfortunately, sometimes they have to suffer. And I know that's not, especially as a mom, that's not really our thing in general. Some
Right.
of us don't give a flying, shit. But so for some of us, that's very difficult. And that is where, in my case, that's where the dad came in. Because the dad
Mhm.
was like, literally, we're going to do this the easy way, or we're going to do it the hard way. Which one you want to do? you
Yeah.
know, and he was willing to do it the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and that was understood. So, like I told my daughter at the time, I'm not into the force thing. I'm not that type of parent. I'm not that type
Right.
of
Me
person.
either.
I'm like, but I'm gonna lay this out for you. Do you know what your options look like? Do you like being in the psych ward? Do you like, you know what I'm saying, being spiraled out and not in control of your faculties? If you like all that shit, then quite naturally you could keep doing everything you doing.
Yeah.
But if you want to take the opportunity, you know, that we're presenting to you and we're telling you we're going to be have your back, you know what I'm saying? Then let's try something else. And
Yeah.
my daughter, while she walked into that with her eyes open, you know, that her
She was
dad had
willing.
yeah, her dad was he was prepared for her not to do that.
Yeah.
So I was the first line. Like, you try that shit, but if she don't, this is what we gonna do. And I was like, oh God, I hope it doesn't come to that, you know.
Okay.
But my daughter was watching, you know, her peers suffering in and out of the psych wards. You know, some of, you know, well, everybody haven't survived, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
she put her own two and two together and was like, Mama, try this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she did. She did. She came down off of all the substances, not just, you know, the extra ones, but the doctor prescribed ones too, because they prescribed a lot of stuff in haste. They had not did a full testing. You know, for a mental illness to really be diagnosed, first of all, you know, they gotta scan your brain. They can't just tell you, oh, you got bipolar, you got schizoaffective disorder, they have to actually do diagnostic work, which they haven't been doing on our children or us. They just been
Right.
telling us, you got all these psychiatric problems, take these pills. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what we're going to do is a full and a real diagnostic. And that has to happen with you not on any drugs. If I had it my way, she wouldn't even have tea. I was like, no caffeine, no sugar, no nothing. But I kind of had to back off a little bit with that one. But
Right.
as far as all the rest of the substances, it was a wrap. So now, if your child, you know, your child been on psychiatric medicines, they can't just stop taking them.
Right.
You have to, you know, that's a process. Now if that's the situation that anybody is dealing with, you probably should do better working with a professional, you know, or somebody that knows what they're doing. So for me, I was the professional. I'm the professional in my family, so
Mm-hmm.
I know how to wean off of meds. And it's a lot of reasons for that, because some of that psychiatric medicine, it has side effects when you take it, it has side effects when you stop taking it.
Right.
And make no mistake, sometimes once you start taking it, uh it can cause permanent, you know, it can cause permanent problems. So you
Yeah.
never know what you're facing when you come off of it. That's why it
Yeah.
was important for us to get around her as a family and just be there, because we really wasn't sure
What was gonna happen?
what we was gonna meet at the end, but we wanted to be prepared. So
Yeah.
if you're dealing with a serious case like that, yes, I recommend you work with, I don't know, somebody who know what they doing. You know,
Yeah.
in that case, it was me, because I do have formal training as a herbalist and as a naturopath, so I was able to use a couple of different herbs. You know what I'm saying? And then I have raised my children on teas and bitters.
Mm-hmm.
So all none of that was new to my daughter. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I had that working for me. But if your kids are not, if you're not introducing them to different tastes and different, you know, bitter type of taste, you doing them a disservice. They're gonna have
Yeah.
indigestion and a lot of digestive problems. The bitterness is necessary. So the
So
sooner they get introduced to it, the better.
so let me ask you this. Because you said um you you're the professional in your house. So do you provide any services that if somebody's watching, if they need somebody to recommend, or maybe do you have any teas or something or tinctures or whatever?
Yeah, and what I don't have, I refer. I got a lot of herbalists I work with, especially in the US and in Ghana too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so um I I have a long list of people to refer people to. Um and
Okay.
if, and if I'm short of a specific type of practitioner, then I could just reach out to one of my teachers and and we could, get a referral from them.
So
But
if
as
you
for
if you're
me,
watching this,
hmm,
so if someone is watching this and they want to reach out, you can either comment or go to Cicely's page, her Facebook page, and contact her and get those referrals. You can let her know what's going on and see who either she can help you or she can refer you to someone who can help you. Um, we do have a lot of naturopaths in the community. But Cicely, what would you say to those who have been losing kind of their confidence in our naturopathic doctors or naturopathic practitioners? Because here as of late, people I know for a fact, like you said, you was just here in Atlanta and you was hard pressed to find any naturopaths. When I moved here in 98, they were everywhere and you could find real good stuff everywhere. But now people have lost their confidence in our naturopaths due to
a
shit.
lot of reasons. Yeah.
And how would somebody know if, well, you did, so you said the reviews, like they need to check out the reviews, like vet the person. So basically we need to vet these people and see um if they're, a trustworthy naturopath. If they're in your area and you want to try to find somebody to help you and your children, vet them out, see what you can come up with. But I do know that um people have been recently, I noticed a lot of people, they've been even getting, there's that whole thing where people don't even trust the conscious community anymore. They don't trust they just don't trust them no more. So how do you, for people who may have lost their confidence in the conscious community, the naturalist community, the herbal community, whatever the case may be, what would you say to those people? And how would you tell them to go about
Yeah.
it?
That's a whole conversation, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's something that I have been talking about for a long time. And I actually it's a couple of things that people can do. Number one, I was certified under an organization. Okay. And so, you're probably gonna have better results, I would think, with a practitioner or a um herbalist or whatever that is associated with an organization, which is
Mhm.
bigger than themselves. Now, even though I'm not an organization by myself, for anybody that I refer people to, I basically am putting myself on the line for that. And I believe I can stand for the people that I can refer. These are
Okay.
people that I trust their expertise and I trust their judgment. I would not share it with you if I did not.
Okay.
Uh, so that's that. Now, there are organizations like A Life of Peace, which is run by Dr. Akua Gray, which is an extremely large network of all types of practitioners. And within that context, I think it's a little bit safer because
Okay.
as we're all of us who've been certified under that organization look, don't make us all look bad. So you have that organizational pressure. Um, it's kind of like we don't really have a formal system, like in the MD world, they have the board of certification, and they have a specific test for that, not just you being an MD, but a licensed board certified MD. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that is where the organization of doctors is bringing its weight to bear on you and how you practice medicine. So if you can associate with someone who actually has a organization behind them, to me, it makes it a little bit better. Number two, as you know, a lot of our challenges with the natural healing community is our disconnection from natural healing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that there are certain things that you should feel and that you should know.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to trust how you feel and trust what you know too. So when you meet someone, and it has happened to me, I've worked with healers and I've you know, organized events for healers for ooh, almost 20 years now. I've worked with a lot of them. And some are, what can I say? Assholes, you know what I mean? But all of that has to be qualified. Meaning, are they good at what they do? Do I just not like them because I don't like them as a personality conflict?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this person not doing what they said they could do? Are they harming people? So you have to learn how to qualify that and quantify that. And there's nothing wrong with asking. When I
Yeah.
came to Ghana, I didn't, I knew two herbalists in Ghana who I did not really, they weren't near me or I didn't want to see them for whatever reason. I put a call out to the community. Hey, who y'all seeing? Y'all know any good herbalists around here? You see? And so that's how I double check myself. You know what I mean?
This the herbalist calling me right now. Hey, sis. Oh no, what I was reaching out to you for is me and Sister Cicely are we're on live right now, and we were talking about different herbalists and naturopaths. Um and I thought about you, and I want to see if I can get you to come on and talk. We're talking about the mental health and wellness of our children and what the children are dealing with, and how we have so many children who are self-harming and um unaliving themselves. I'm on live, so I can't say the actual word or they might cut me off. But we were talking about like different natural ways that we want to be able to give the audience on how to do it, do it that way instead of going and getting this conventional stuff. And I want to be able to bring on a couple of naturopaths to talk about your products. I know you make a lot of different stuff, and I just wanted to get you on. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Cicely and we'll see if you yeah, we can do it then. I'm sorry, Cicely, I'm coming. Um but I'm gonna reach back out to you, and you can, if you can, send me the times that you're available, and I'll see what time Cicely available so we can all talk about it. All right. Right. And that's what I want to talk about. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we want to We want to put those things out there. So I'm gonna reach back out to you. We won't be on for too much longer, I don't think. But I do want to see about when we can get you on. Okay. All right. All right. Well, sorry, Cicely. I've been trying to get in touch with her for the longest. And
It's no problem. I had
she,
two more books I wanted to put on our list. One is African Holistic Health by Dr. Lila Africa, and the other one is Nourishing Traditions by some lady named Sally Fallon. Um, the reason why I put these books out there is because the more you are kind of aware of the terrain that you're stepping into, the better choices you can make about who to work with. You know,
exactly.
a lot of times we don't want a practitioner, we want a savior,
Right.
and it ain't no saviors in this life except for your
You
own
got to
self.
save yourself.
Yeah, so you have to actually put some work in and immerse yourself in the topics. Now, if you're not into reading books, all these people that we just named, all these books, Google, Google their YouTube videos. Look at
Or
some,
audio books or something.
yeah, where they got audio books, they got, little short interviews you could pick up things on YouTube. Don't just leave it like, you know what I'm saying, and,
Yeah.
and, and expect for somebody to fill in all the blanks for you. You got to start filling in some of those blanks yourself, and then you
Yep.
will have the proper guidance from inside yourself. Now if you are completely off your rocker, then quite naturally, you got to put your own oxygen mask on before you could put one on your kid. You
Yeah.
know, so if it's just like people say, I have taught my kids, listen to your body. That's how you know what to eat. But if your body is telling you to eat Doritos and eat pizza and cheeseburgers, then you know that your body is off. Come on, you got to use your sense
Exactly.
along with that too to say, well, I'm craving all the bad things. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, my balance must be off inside my body. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So you have to know. So if you go out here and you pick like the worst possible practitioner who, gives you something that actually makes you worse than better, which is you really have to try to do as a herbalist. Like you really have to almost
Yeah.
try to make to get somebody sick with some plan. You have to do that on purpose. You have to plan
Right.
for that.
Right.
So you go out here and choose somebody like that, you spend a little time looking in the mirror before you talk to anybody again.
Yeah.
But generally, I would say my referrals are good. A Life of Peace referrals are good. Um, who else? Who else do we know that's kind of organized?
Oh, um, you why you put me on the spot? I can't even think of nobody off the top of my head.
Me neither. I mean, and I actually been thinking about this. Now I know some individuals, and I'm gonna put their contacts in the in the
I
comment
know
section.
plenty individuals, but I can't
And
think
I
of them.
recommend them based on just my personal knowledge of them and knowing
Yeah.
how I know their values and how they get down.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as just, and I have appealed to my fellow healers, some I have named and some I have not, that we should be better organized,
Yeah.
to make it a little bit more simple for people to reach out. Because how are we saying that this is the proper way to do things if we don't have a mechanism by which they can access this information? Okay, I'll tell you, the comedic yoga group, I'm gonna tell you their name. Hold up. It's the name of this group, but I gotta Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
No, why you don't have the name of this thing up here? Okay, just give
it's
me a second. I'm gonna look this up.
it's a comedic yoga
Yeah, it's a group.
group
A group. Yeah,
and a
and I'm
comedic yoga group.
okay. It's called Yoga Skills,
Yeah.
and it's founded by Yasir Hotep. Yoga Skills School of Comedic Yoga. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would say you can contact them for referrals because a lot of he trains a lot of instructors, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of them are holistic practitioners as well.
Ah.
So they're in the committed yoga skills network. So they all kind of know each other, and I'm sure you can get a good referral for them, as well as link your kids up. I've taken my daughter. I In fact, if he was really going down it, you could see us in pictures in the committed yoga class. When she was like 6 years old. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna tell you, one of the first things she did when she started feeling better is unroll her mat and start going into her poses, and she still does that.
Yeah.
And so she does it more than I do, and I'm the one that introduced her to it. So
Hey.
just look at that. But it helps her a lot. It helps me a lot too when I do it. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say you can contact them as well. They have a huge network of instructors. Bobby Yasir been training instructors all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
so he know about who is practicing. What whether it be, I don't know what you want to be, whatever you want to do, iridology or I don't know. He's gonna have a good feel for who to recommend based on what your need is. Those are the three. We'll try to come up with more. Um,
Yeah, because we're gonna need to do a few more of these. And we need to promote it a little bit more. And I want us to see if we can get a few of our naturopaths that we trust to come on and talk to our folks about what things that they can do right away, and then things that they need to do that they may need to, like you're suggesting, to get some D3 drops and start.
yeah, I suggest you check your kid's vitamin profile with a blood test. And I think most of us will be very surprised to see the deficiencies in our children. And so if you start there, then you know what you're doing.
Then
But
you know which
we can
direction to
pretty
go
much
in.
guarantee that we all need vitamin D.
Absolutely. You making me think about, I need to do it for myself.
Yeah. You will be
Because
surprised. You will be
when you
surprised.
think about
The B vitamins will be so low, it just make you cry. You just look at your child and their behavior, and then when you look at they blood work, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this baby been suffering. So
yeah.
once you see their deficits, then you will know, kind of what to do. Now, it ain't all about vitamin supplements. You gotta, I know people say they don't have time to cook. Well, my auntie, she works uh 40 plus hours a week, and she cooks. She don't cook every day. She organized herself, you know what I'm saying, to where she cook once or twice a week. That's it. That's all it takes. Let's don't make this complicated. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So let's don't make excuses and say we can't do it. Even I cook once a week. You know what I'm talking about? So um but yeah, that's the main thing. We definitely gotta look in our kitchen.
Yeah,
We gotta let our kids get outside. We gotta do the right
absolutely.
profile. I mean, it was times when I was just like, no, are you near a tree? Just hug the tree,
Right,
take
right.
your shoes off,
Take your
because a
shoes
lot of
off.
that excitability is just a lot of the electromagnetic frequencies from outside and the inside just literally going haywire, and you got to discharge that. You got to come down from that, and that requires you to touch nature. Your feet got to
Yes.
touch the ground. Your feet got to touch some wood, and they even have these grounding uh, strips you can put in the shoes, grounded
Mhm.
strips you can put on your bed. Hey, ground, ground, ground.
Whatever you got to do. And I know this is very hard for a lot of us, including us adults, but we gotta start limiting this screen time. And we not only what we ingest through our mouth, we gotta look at what we ingesting in our eyes and in our ears. Cause this stuff is making these all of us sick. Like we're all
That's the
addicted.
reason why I didn't go there first, is because, again, once you make the nutritional adjustments you need, well, sir, this is what I've observed with my children. The better they doing, nutritionally, the better decisions they make about how to spend their own time.
Really?
Yeah, my two oldest they'll pull themselves off of social media in a minute.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
They'll be like, nah, this is doing and they can articulate it. This is doing too much. It's making me do too much. I'm cool for now.
I have a little cousin who has been
Right,
self-regulating like that.
right. I find that the better shape you can get your child in, hey, they could go through fire. These is African kids. They can go through fire, but you gotta give them that foundation. You know what I'm saying? Then they'll know what to do. You won't be policing them all the time because they have
So
sense in their brain. Their body is working, and they have sense, and they can see and make better decisions for themselves. Because you
so
coming
what
at
would you
it backwards. You coming at it backwards. If you come in and try to go over the hammer over, I'm taking out all the social media and the Wi-Fi and everything, you could do that. You could do it. But I suggest you come at it, you can do both, but you can come at it another way too. Try to build them up and give them, what they should be doing, as opposed to just looking at what you could take away. Well, we're
right?
doing this right now, so you don't have time for that. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to put that phone down.
So look, what would you say to people? And this is my last question before we gonna go because we need to I really want us to structure a call with some naturopaths so we could really have a conversation about some herbs and stuff that would work, or vitamins and stuff that would work. Um when you I'm sure we'll have some parents who may feel like their kids are too far gone. um I don't know, ain't nothing I could do at this point, or they just so far gone, it's just hopeless or whatever. They feeling hopeless. What would you say to somebody who is in a position where they just feel like they are hopeless, and they're literally walking around scared that one day they're gonna wake up and their child is not gonna be awake,
Mm.
so to speak?
I would say don't give up. Um, Stay open to the possibilities of healing. Um, and let the game come to you, and just do it, whatever it takes. Like my teacher told us, our children are our latest and best technology, and I agree with that 100%. If that's my latest and the best that I had to offer, then I'm gonna put something into it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And if my children come under attack, then I'm gonna defend my children. So get in touch with yourself as a mom, as a dad, and as a human being. Defend your young. That should be a driving force for all of us. And it's something that we've disconnected from because
Mhm.
maybe we didn't see that our children was under attack. We
Mhm.
didn't, our elders maybe didn't see it when we came under attack. You see,
Yeah,
but now that we've come into this place and we see what's happening, you can't unsee it. Connect with it, and use that energy and that force. Fight for your kid, man.
we got to
And
do
I
something
don't know
about it.
exactly what situation they in or what it's gonna take, but look at them, touch them, hug them, listen to them. You know what I'm saying? Start there.
Yeah. Before I go, um, I was in the dentist office. I had to take my knee baby in to the dentist office day before yesterday. And we're sitting there, it's all of us, me, her dad, all of the kids, we all went to the dentist. Because I believe that we have to support each other. So we do it together. And there was a young lady in the dentist office with her daughter. And the way she was talking to that little girl, it struck a nerve in me so bad. Like I literally, this anger rose up in me so bad that I literally saw myself walking up to her and punching her in her mouth. I had to check myself. I said, Bequita, what is going on with this parent? That what is going on with her mental? What is going on with her that she can walk through this office and cuss this little girl out like this and talk to this little girl like this and be so and not care that it's at least 20, 30 people sitting in here and she's talking to this kid. The little girl couldn't have been no more than about 10 or 11 years old. And she was saying stuff to her like, who you looking at like that? Oh God, it was so bad. It was so bad. But it made thinking about what you were just saying, it made me think about that and how we have to, we gotta connect with our children. Like we have to hug them. We gotta love on them. Even though maybe she didn't receive that somewhere. She didn't, it was obvious that she must didn't receive any of that ever. And this little kid, I was just feeling for her because I can see her mental wasn't there. Like she was used to that. Her face was blank. I'm like, this is literally what me and Cicely are discussing, like these children and these parents. And we don't want to just come out and say it, but the parents, many of our parents, the parents are the reason why the children are struggling. And the parents, if you struggling, go get you some therapy. Go get you some. Go get your vitamin. Go get you a blood panel and see what your deficiencies are. Like
That's
Cicely,
gonna happen next after you see your kids. You're gonna be like, "Oh, well, I wonder what mine look like." So
you probably need.
we going about this in a roundabout way because one thing leads to another, and hopefully you end up looking at yourself saying,
Yeah, and I really thought about that young lady, and I'm like, how many of our parents, young women, um, again, to me, it was obvious there was no male around. Um, and there's a disservice that's being done to the children because there's no male around. The women are overwhelmed, frustrated. aggravated, all of the things that come along with being by yourself, trying to do this with these children. And then they end up subsequently taking it out on the children. And then, of course, what happens? The children begin to suffer and begin to act out. So and you've said this before, but the more I talk to you about it, the more I realize how layered this thing is and how many things we need to attack. And I can see also how people just be like, you know what, fuck this. It's just too much. So how do we get people to not?
Educational aspects of it, because if you come at it from that direction, you're gonna feel overwhelmed before you even start. You're gonna feel it's a lot of information. It's a lot of disinformation. All that is purposeful. There's entities, the media, mainstream media, the corporate media, that is their job to put out mixed signals and disinformation. They telling us eat eggs, don't eat eggs, don't eat eggs. We burnt all the eggs, we killed all the chickens, now the eggs too high. We don't know what to do. Okay. All that is being done on purpose. So instead of coming from the direction of all the symptoms that have resulted, I'm suggesting that we come back into the fold, into the center, and do the parts in that space that we have control over. You know
So
what I'm
basically
saying?
you're saying
Because
for us to work from the inside out.
yes, because that puts us in a better position to be able to handle the rest of what's coming at us. You understand?
Yeah.
So, for
Yeah. That
example,
makes sense.
you can't look. You can't behave in a different way if this part is not taken care of. You could think about all the things that you could do and would do, but you can't even do them because
Yeah.
of the imbalance that's going on in your body. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And it's scientific reasons behind that can explain all of that. We don't have to get into it. All we need to know at the beginning is to bring it back into the center. Like one of the young people that I recently was trying to encourage, and she's like, well, I was thinking about this and that, and I'm like, just stop. You don't have to think about none of that. The only thing you have to do is breathe. And sometimes we have to just start right there. Once we start breathing,
Breathing.
then we could think about the next thing we have to do. you know
You got a point there, sis, because I remember recently I started really paying attention to the fact that I catch myself holding my breath sometimes.
yeah.
I catch myself clenching my teeth sometimes. And I'm like, breathe. What are you doing? Breathe. And then I'll take a few minutes and actually take some really deep breaths and get some real air into my lungs and like do some, like, people, even just stretching, opening up these,
You telling me?
opening it up will help so much. And I've learned that over time that and I'm sure many people, if you start paying attention to yourself, you'll realize that why am I holding my breath? Or why am I clenching my teeth? Or why am I clenching my butt? Why am I clenching? Why am I fist balled up? Why,
Right.
all of those things
It's a
that,
lot. It's a lot to pay attention to, and you just gotta give yourself a chance to be able
yeah,
to pay attention to it.
yeah,
That's basically all we doing, because we haven't really got into, talking about anything that would cure anything about anything. This is all just to connect, you know, with ourselves, connect with our children, and really get a view for what's going on. Because most of the time, we just not looking at it. We're not paying attention to it.
and many people will say that they can't seem to pay attention because I gotta go to work. I gotta go to the kids in school. This going on, that going on. How do you? But I would say, if you can find time for all of that, you can find time
Yeah. I'm
for
not even
yourself.
I'm not even taking that excuse because we the ones that's watching the Super Bowl, right? And every other show that come on during the week. If we got time for that. You got 30 minutes for your kids in the day.
And you got 30 minutes for yourself too.
Yeah, we can do it.
We can do it because if we can sit down and watch these series of people sit down and they watch the GOTs and the this and that, and then you see them on we get on social media and we talk, did you see this and did you see that and did you see that, did you breathe today, did you take a couple of
Right.
deep breaths? You know what, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start saying that. I'm gonna say, have you taken a few deep breaths today?
Or me and one of my kids had like a 12 hug a day challenge.
Really?
Yeah,
Was it challenging?
very. It's hard to get 12 hugs in, but they say you thrive as a human being after 11.
Ah,
Yeah, so we experimented with that.
that's, I'm gonna try that.
And actually, one of
So
the practitioners that I'm gonna recommend, she's the one. She always said that we should set up a hug kiosk and just hug people.
you know,
And I'm like, we
I
got to put
agree.
a sign, non-freaky hugs, you know.
But you know, I saw somebody was doing that. This guy was going around just giving, he was like free hugs. And
Yeah,
you I saw it, and it was actually some people who was literally breaking down crying
yeah, we are touch deprived. We're gonna put that on the
because people are touch deprived.
we.
Exactly.
That's why I said touch your kids.
Touch them.
I'm
Yeah.
a put that on discussion for the next time. We are touch deprived, and
Touch
I got
deprived.
some funny stories about how I recognized it.
Yeah.
A couple of funny stories.
So we will hold touch deprived to the next time. Um so let's agree on when we're gonna do
When is
this
the
again.
next time?
Yeah.
We could do Wednesday or what?
Wednesday. Okay. So we got to get the time zone. Okay. So y'all who
7 o'clock nighttime.
who may have been trying to tune in at 7, and I was saying 7. I don't think I said 7 EST, or I don't think I said which one because I forgot that Cicely is in a different time zone than I am.
I forgot what time zone I was in too.
And
So
you don't forget what time zone you in. You like, if it's 7 p.m. there, is it 8 p.m. where I'm at? No, ma'am, it's 6 p.m. where you. So
oh my God.
are we, is 6 p.m. your time good, or you need 7 p.m.?
7, yeah, 7.
7 p.m. your time?
Yeah.
So 8 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. CST,
I got it this
Wednesday.
time, Captain.
You got it. So y'all, for those of y'all who were able to tune in, thank you so much for tuning in. If next time y'all throw in some questions or whatever, because I am looking at the chat trying to see if any questions come up. If you have any questions and you're watching the replay, just type them in, and me and Cicely will be checking in on the comments, and if it's something that we can answer in the comments, we will. If it's something that we want to hold on to and answer on the next live, we'll do that. But for now, this is Breaking the Chains with
New African image makers.
And we are going to do the best that we can to give y'all information that we can that we can use to help our children, and in turn help ourselves in this tumultuous time. once again, our children, we're seeing a surge in our children suffering from self-harm, and we can't ignore it anymore. We have to do something. And our position is that we need to look within and look within our own community and figure it out. And we're going to figure it out together.
Yep.
So until next Wednesday, Cicely, you have anything you want to say closing?
No, thanks for the people who are checking in with us. I'm gonna write in a few of the books and a couple of contacts in the comment section. So just be looking out.
All right. Thank you so much, Cicely. We will see you next week at 7 p.m. CST, 8 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time.
I got it this time. I got it.
All right. Thank you, sis.
Okay.
I love you, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. And good night.
Good night.